Welcome back to another devlog. Thanks to everyone who joined my Discord recently. It's been really nice talking to all of you and seeing your game dev projects. These past few weeks I've been working on prepping the game for a demo build. It's slowly getting there, but I've still got a few more tweaks and a bunch more content to add before it's ready. The first thing I worked on was adding limitations to my game. It may sound a bit odd intentionally limiting what the player can and can't do, but it's for their own good for multiple reasons. The system I added is modular, meaning I can pre-assign limits depending on future tanks I add, for any of the different types of limits. So for example, the small basic tank I've been using in my videos has a fish limit of 60, a critter limit of 20, and a decoration limit of 60. Plants are also included as decoration, as they take up space at the base of the tank. Now this doesn't mean that the player can have 60 fish, 20 snails, and 60 pieces of decorations or plants. Each item has a pre-assigned number dependent on their size. So for example, clownfish take up 2 of the fish limit variable, whereas the angelfish, which are twice its size, take up 4. Doing this prevents the player from overcrowding their tank, which would not only look bad as the fish would be constantly turning away from each other or possibly not even being able to move at all, but it also prevents the player from spawning too many fish so that they lag their own game out when visiting a tank. Before the demo release, I'll need to spend some time balancing the cost of items, the item limit they require, and the timers for things like fish breeding, fish hunger, sickness, and starvation, as currently it's just set to my testing variables. The next thing I worked on was the snails. If you watched my video on snails early on, you'd see them working great, but I've had some issues since then, with them glitching outside of the tank or bugging out entirely, which obviously needs to be fixed. Those issues were pretty easy to fix, but I noticed some new ones whilst fixing them. Back then the terrain was completely flat, which was simple, but now the terrain is uneven. The snails now land on the terrain and clip through it entirely to get to the glass. Since the snails will currently be spending most of their life stuck to the glass eating algae, this isn't a huge deal, but I also want to make the critter script modular, with options to save time further down the line for things like the shrimp or the crabs. So it's time to dive into physics, something that I'm very unfamiliar with, as I barely used it before in my previous projects. After many attempts, the snails still weren't working great. It was bug after bug, but I got it to the point where it mostly worked. The snails cast a line from the top of their shell into the sand and adjust their rotation accordingly. This worked great on downhill, flat ground, or a minor slope, but when facing a steep slope, the snails wouldn't adapt. The reasoning behind it was that the line cast was aiming directly down, without taking the snail's rotation into account. After staring at my code for a stupidly long period of time, my friend Vixel pointed out that I was using a line cast by accident instead of a ray cast, which fixed the directional issue immediately, so a big thanks to him. He's also a game dev and YouTuber too, so if you haven't already, go check out his videos, they're really good. My snails can now freely climb up and down terrain. They're still a little bit choppy from time to time, so over the next few weeks I will be spending some time perfecting them and ensuring that there is no obvious bugs within the game. Assuming that all goes well, it's just finishing off the snails code and then asset creation, and the demo is pretty much complete. I also need to come up with some more challenges for the game, especially more to do with the fish, so if you've got any ideas for challenges, please let me know in the comments below. I've also been planning out where the tank will be, in terms of the world, as well as the customization options. Once the demo's feedback is received, I intend on creating some rooms and allowing the player to choose not only which room they want to place the tank in, but whereabouts within that room. I'll later add more options for tank customization as well as room customization. As for the tank customization, this could be things like the base of the tank shape and the terrain type, as well as things like tank lighting and the background design, as you see on some aquariums. Thank you so much for watching the video this far through, I really do appreciate it. I have some really cool videos planned in the future, both for my 500 sub special video and the demo release, so please bear with me. I'll be pretty busy for the next month working on all that as well as my game. Thank you so much to all my patrons over on Patreon for supporting me in the channel. So a huge thank you to Tom, Fist Me Daddy, and Sab Kitty for supporting me over on Patreon. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions in the comments, I'd love to hear it all. The links to my socials and my Discord link are in the description, so feel free to come hang out and share your projects and devlogs in there. Thank you so much for watching.